Welcome, everyone, to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Jake Brannon, coming into our next event next week, which is going to be the finale of Cornhole Mania. Wait, not Cornhole Mania. Yes, Cornhole Mania. Bag Brawl. Okay, It's written incorrectly on my sheet and it messed me up. I didn't even realize we were coming to the last event. I was talking to one of the pros and she's like, yeah, final national. I was like, wait, what? It's already there? We're already at the end? This is crazy.
Flies by.
Bag Brawl's where we're going. That's where I'll be. I don't know where you guys will be. And so we're going to talk about those finals and our predictions for what might happen there. We're going to get into the top 10 from Bag Brawl a couple weeks ago. We got some trivia to go through that's going to surround around our finales, talk about teams, and then we're going to get Jake and Trey's award winner predictions. So lots of good stuff to get into. And yeah, before we do, any cornhole happening in your life with this little week here, Trey?
Well, this past weekend, I was able to do some commentary around the Rock Hill Regional. That's the regional that Jake Brannon was scheduled to be at, but then he backed out because he was scared, and then he didn't end up showing up. So
that makes sense.
It was, but no, it was good. I mean, it was stout competition as always. It's good to see some players kind of getting in a rhythm. Matt Wilson continues to be a top-level elite player. Jordan Power was really good. Jake Gore was really good. Derek Holland was really good. So Derek Holland looks in form. He looks ready to go for his big double weekend alongside Alex Rawls in doubles. So, I spent some time doing that. Otherwise, just enjoyed my weekend not traveling. I get another one this weekend, so I don't even know what to do with myself. 2 straight weekends of not going anywhere. So, but no, it was good.
Jake, how about you? Any cornhole in your life?
Surprisingly, actually, no. I'm down in North Carolina hanging out with my girlfriend. I had all the intentions of going to the Rock Hill Regional on Sunday. I had a partner lined up, and then he messaged me Friday afternoon and said, hey, I thought this regional was on Saturday, so I can't make Sunday. So I said, okay. So I had to back out of that. So it's not that I wasn't scared. I would have loved to come. But yeah, surprisingly, no, I didn't get to play much of any cornhole. So a rare weekend for me.
Did you catch the Freudian slip? He said, it's not that I wasn't scared. I think you meant it's not that I was scared. That's okay, Jake. We're here for it.
All right.
We're just getting a look into your subconscious.
I love it. See, this is what happens when Meesh leads the show. She picks up on all this kind of stuff.
I listen way too intently. All right, let's get into what's going to be our finals for singles, what's going to be in shootout, and then we'll also talk about national singles. And then next week, we'll get into doubles. So our shootout singles is going to be Trader versus Holland, and then Harbaugh versus Halbert. What are your big picture thoughts there, Trey?
Yeah, big picture thoughts is this entire broadcast is going to be determined by Josh Holland, in my mind. Josh Holland is, many people forget, he is a pro shootout men's singles champion. Not only did he win a shootout, he won the championship event in men's singles. This is a guy that in the round limited format, when he gets in that zone, has shown to be the best in the world, okay? He can do that same thing. The thing that's shocking to me is that Josh Holland is ranked 97th in the world, and his win percentage is less than 40% in singles. He's losing more than 60% of his games in singles, and this guy's made a broadcast. He is the definition, folks, of a wild card coming into this event. He's going up against the new number 2 player in the world in Ryan Trader. Ryan Trader has shown consistency across the entire year. He just happened to have some of his not greatest events right at the start of this pro season and is now getting into that rhythm. I said on last week's show he had a chance to catch Jeremiah Ellis. We were missing some bonus points in there. We corrected the standings. He can't catch Ellis. I need to clarify my error from last week, but he can still get pretty darn close. And by getting close, he's at least going to make the Rookie of the Year and the MVP and maybe some other races interesting when it comes to that. I think talent for talent-wise and how players have shown across the entire season, Trader will be the easiest bet on this court, on that particular shootout singles. However, that doesn't mean I necessarily think he's going to win because you have 3 guys that in reality, you have a little bit of a question mark about. I just talked about Holland being the biggest question mark. Devin Harbaugh is probably the best player in the world to never have a pro singles title. I mean, straight up, this guy's never won one. If he plays like he does normally off the court, on that broadcast court, he'll probably win. But that's a big question mark. We don't know what we're going to get out of Harbaugh. And then you add in Halbert, who is very much like Holland. He's a guy that's been a singles world champion. We talked about him being far and away one of the best players in the world. And now you throw him into a Final Four and into a season where he's been a lot more down than up. Now all of a sudden he's back up there on the big stage. It's just a huge question mark for me. But I think if Holland beats Trader, that's telling me he is vintage Josh Holland, and I don't think anybody's going to beat him. If he doesn't, then that could mean this is a wide open win for Ryan Trader, or the door is open for others to kind of jump in and steal the spotlight. But this single broadcast comes down to Josh Holland.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
So I agree with almost everything you said, but, I want to talk more about Tanner Halbert. He's another one of these dudes that we haven't seen at all this pro season, and then he just comes out of the woodworks from out of nowhere and wins a shootout singles title, a shootout singles bracket, I should say, and I believe was it a shootout doubles or national doubles bracket in Minnesota as well. But the key to him is his aggressiveness. We've always talked since we've started these shootout formats that the more aggressive the player, the least likely they are to win. Because you've seen Matt Gott. He hasn't really had a lot of shootout success. Other players who are super aggressive on the pro circuit have never really had a lot of shootout success. But then you get Tanner Halbert. He is by far the most aggressive out of the four in the shootout singles side, and it ended up helping him in Minnesota. You know what I mean? He just hit airmail after airmail, big time shot after big time shot, no hesitation whatsoever, and he just happened to be hitting all of them and dominated to win his bracket. To me, that's going to be the key. If he can find his airmail and if he can find his aggressive shot making, I don't think Devin Harbaugh, Ryan Trader, or Josh Holland stand a chance against him. But it goes without saying, you flip that over, if he struggles with his airmail early, if he struggles with these shot selections early, Devin Harbaugh is going to eat him alive. So that really is going to be the one game that I look out for, because I feel like really if Halbert is aggressive, he's going to win the whole thing. But if he's successful with his aggressiveness, he is going to win the whole thing. But if he is not, that really opens the door for the other three to win. So I don't know. I kind of feel like this is Tanner Halbert's to lose, in my opinion, coming into this. But you never know. Like I said, like you talked about earlier, Ryan Trader, I really have my eyes on, because he really is the only other person on the singles side that can catch Jeremiah Ellis the remainder of this season. He needs to have a solid performance in national singles and shootout singles, but there is still that slight chance. Josh Holland, you said it perfectly, a really big wild card. You never know what you're going to get out of him. He could come out and dominate everybody, but then you could come out and just crap the bed. So I don't know what I'm getting out of him. And Devin Harbaugh is as good as ever. He is as dominant as ever. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if either of these four players win. So it's going to be really fun. I'm really excited to watch this in Milwaukee.
So not to disagree with you, but obviously one of the players that's really good at shootouts that I would consider to be aggressive is Eric Davis. Would you not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. It's almost like a different type of aggressiveness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eric Davis will pull out these incredible, pushes and rolls and whatnot. But Tanner Halbert is kind of one of those two-way type of players. He's going to slide bags and he's going to airmail. He's not going to try crazy rolls or crazy cuts or anything like that. He's going to stay pretty consistent with what he knows how to do.
Yeah, it's almost as if Eric Davis, his aggressiveness, when he misses, he's on the board because the bags are just bunching up. And so he stays more in control and in more of a defensive position, whereas you're exposed if you're Halbert, if you start missing those airmails. And even if it's a good point you make, Jake, because even if you go look back at what he did in teams, when the high rollers played on the broadcast court, he lost his game. He didn't play well at all. They lost to Braden Wilson and AJ Sims Why? Because Braden Wilson laid some blocks and Tanner Halbert couldn't hit the air mails. I don't know if you remember the last round, Tanner Halbert hit 4 straight air mails and he threw his hands up and he goes, where the hell was that the rest of the game?
Where was that?
Yeah, but you're exactly correct. When he's on that court, he has all of those different shots, but his success is 100% predicated on the success of that air mail.
Moving into national singles, we have Rawls versus Birchfield and Schrader versus Bubenheim. We've mentioned how we could potentially have a repeat of 2021 Worlds with Bubenheim and Birchfield. I asked Trey about that, and he said, I'd love for that to happen with the exact same outcome. I bet you would. But thoughts on national singles, Trey?
Yeah, I mean, we got a chance at history. Cheyenne Bubenheim has an opportunity to be the first woman ever to win, a pro singles event. That's special, and that requires some level of hype and insight and excitement around it. When I look at the matchup against Ryan Trader, I'm really, really interested to see board speeds, because a fast board is going to be music to Cheyenne Bubenheim's ears. If they are slower, that is going to be absolutely music to Ryan Trader's ears. I think Ryan Trader is by far and away the one that is going to be able to manipulate certain shot selections a little bit better. But everybody on this knows, and everybody out there that follows Cheyenne at all knows, that her signature is her push through push. I mean, that's what it is. If you are laying a block and Cheyenne Bubenheim can go through it easily at her preferred speed, then she is nearly impossible to beat, because she completely neutralizes every other aspect of a defensive player's game. She's not doing any of this block behind. She's not doing any of that. She wants to keep a clean board because she thinks she can run bags better than you. If the boards can be a little bit tacky enough, or if Trader can throw a little bit of shorter of a block and still be able to execute on his shots, I like Trader in the matchup. If not, Cheyenne Bubenheim is going to be really hard to beat. She's got plenty of experience on that main stage, and she knows what it takes to get it done there. On the other side, how about a classic matchup of former pro partners in Rawls and Birchfield? I think this one is going to be fun, because this one is going to be who is going to be their best version of their self. Either one of these guys can win. It's great to see Birchfield back, and we're seeing him play at a higher level like he used to. But Rawls is one of those guys that's always around the hole and always scoring points and always Mr. Consistent. In the end, Rawls versus Birchfield, I think that game is literally a coin flip of who will take that down. And on the other side, it just becomes a battle of board conditions on who can execute their shots better. So it is a fun and interesting national singles matchup.
Jake, what are your thoughts?
So I agree with one thing you said, Trey, and then I disagree on the other thing. The first thing you mentioned about Alex Rawls was that he was consistent. And that was the literal first thing I wrote down when we were talking about Alex Rawls. From what I saw in Minnesota a couple weekends ago, Alex Rawls was the most consistent player in the building for the entire weekend. When it came to manipulating what he wanted to do with the bags, when it came to shot selection and making those shots, when it came to accuracy and angle of the shots, he was on fire and rarely missed. Because of that, I don't necessarily think this game between Rawls and Birchfield is going to be a coin flip. This is the first time we've seen Birchfield make a pro singles final in quite some time. Rawls won a national singles title last season. I just don't know if Birchfield has what it takes to beat Rawls right now. And I think it's another case of how the board conditions are going to be. If they are on the faster side, I think that's going to help out Rawls just a little bit more. But if they're on the slower side and Birchfield can get those blocks down, make a little bit messier of a board, I think that's his only saving grace and a chance of beating Alex Rawls in this one. Now we move over to the other side. I mean, I love it. I love it. And I love Cheyenne. I mean, obviously you've got to think statistically on paper, she's the underdog, but I don't know, Trey, you and I both looked at each other in Minnesota, and we said if she plays like she did that weekend, she's going to win this bracket. She was consistent. She was strong. She was aggressive, and she was not afraid to take the dangerous shot. And obviously, this is a lot different than shootout singles. You have the ability to be aggressive and still be very good. So I really like Cheyenne's chances, but you were correct with saying about the board conditions. If the boards are slower, I think this is Trader's game to lose. But if the boards are faster, I think this is Cheyenne's game to lose. All in all, I think it's going to be an incredible national singles semifinal and final, and I cannot wait to watch it go down.
Same. And we'll be able to do that in just a little bit here. And we'll talk about doubles next week and what we can look to see there. And then coming into that weekend in Milwaukee. But first, we need to get into our top 10 from our Minnesota event. So we've got some Corey, when he's putting this together, said there are so many good shots. Like he was having a hard time picking. So good job, everybody there. But go ahead and take it away, Jake.
Yeah, let's talk about the top 10 shots of the Bag Brawl 1. Talk about this honorable mention. Now, this is a round-limited game. This game does not matter. So Josh Holland already has it in the bag. Throws it opposite-handed, throws an and one. Are you kidding me?
That is
outrageous.
That should be illegal.
How confident was he in that shot, do you think? Like, was he just like, yeah, I got this?
He's like, whatever. The games are I already won. Whatever.
My favorite part of that whole thing was everybody that just ran away afterwards when they saw what happened. You saw, Duncan
if you look back, Duncan Clemmer standing on the bleachers almost fell off the bleachers when he hit that shot. That was my favorite part because I probably watched the video a dozen times.
Watch everybody in the background.
He did. He almost fell.
Oh my gosh! Let's move on to number 10.
Duncan Clemmer, are you okay?
Move on to number 10, Matt Guy. Look at this. How about an airmail drag to throw a perfect game? Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that was the perfect game that they won, not the perfect game that he threw and they lost.
Oh, so that wasn't his only perfect game either.
Back-to-back perfect games. They won one and lost one.
Only in cornholes you throw a perfect game and lose.
Gotta hurt if you're Brett Guy in that one.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Number 9, we're moving on. What a surprise. Ryan Trader, take a look at this bar of soap. Picture perfect. I remember listening to you call that game, Trey. You almost fell out of your chair after he hit that. The part of the reason was I didn't even see it coming. Like I wasn't – sometimes when a player is stepping up, you're like, oh, here it comes. Like it was almost – I was like, what? He threw a bar of soap just casually. Yeah.
It's good.
More from Ryan Trader later. Let's move on to number 8. Logan Chamberlain. Let's stay on the topic of bar of soaps here. This is against Cheyenne. Look at this. Collects 2 of his bags and pushes Cheyenne's over the hole. That was a little sneaky, but it looked really good.
Dirty.
Yeah, it's lane side, so it was a really good placement, able to sneak around and left the blocker in there. A lot of times you're going for that bar of soap, everything bunches up in between. Really good control.
All right, number 7, back to Ryan Trader. How about another bar of soap, this time off the back of the board? Ryan Wiedenfeld just ate some bars of soap this weekend.
Something about like a clean airmail and a bar of soap that launches a bag off the board to create a clean board, just
satisfying.
It's tasty. It's tasty.
Satisfying.
Number 6, how about a Florida boy? This is Chris Kingsbury. This is a slick side shot to win. You miss, you lose. And Chris Kingsbury gets it done hugging that right side. What a bag.
So it was – the thing is, going into that last round, we're like, he's got a sliver of a chance, right? Mm-hmm. And then one miss. And you're like, no, it's not going to happen. And then another miss. And you're like, wait a second. And then – how that bag ended up where it was, we were like, okay, now he's done, right? Because he has to go across. He's not lane side, so he has to avoid those bags, kind of hop over a corner and collect in. I lost my mind when that happened. Absolutely lost my mind.
Moving on to number 5, I lost my mind when this shot happened. I didn't think any of these had a chance to go. Hunter Thorne throws it super high, almost touches the ceiling, and ends up taking everything. I thought they were jammed. I thought for sure they were clogged, and Hunter Thorne says, nope.
What do they say now? What's the new phrase? To the moon? You got to throw it to the moon? That's the new thing,
to the moon. Oh, my gosh. All right, number 4, Devin Harbaugh. We call this the banana peel with a bag sitting on top. He collects it and leaves. Chris Royball's there. What a shot.
He said, deal with
Kinda
your
like-
bags.
Yeah, I kind of like the banana peel. Like a little peel it right off. I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I like these names.
Number 3, don't worry, Meesh. We got ourselves an Eric Davis highlight. Take a look at this penguin. Super hard. And that's what we talked about earlier with his type of aggressiveness. That's not something Tanner Halbert would do, but that was an aggressive shot from Eric Davis, and he made it work.
My favorite part is anytime I talk to Eric Davis about some of these shots, he'll be honest. He'd be like, "I didn't mean to do that," or like, "You guys are getting excited about the not as hard shot that I did like 3 rounds before." I'm like, "Eric, shut up."
Oh, man.
Number 2, back to Josh Holland again, this time with his right hand. Opposite side reverse cut, beautifully done to leave Scheibner's bag on the right side. He's so good.
That reverse cut fade, man, it's not easy. You really have to put a certain angle and a certain spin on it to keep it anyway going left to right. He's nasty.
And finally, closing it out with a trifecta of Ryan Trader shots, all against Ryan Wiedenfeld. Take a look at this. I had no clue he could have brought that back. Didn't even think about that. Couldn't fathom that.
I thought it was
That was
completely,
insane.
literally out of play. Like I thought it was.
I'm sure
way
whoever was
out of
calling it
play.
said it was out of play. I don't know who's
I
calling
did.
that one.
I think I was calling
You
it.
did.
I was like, "This is."
Okay.
I said, "This is." I think I said something like, "I don't like this. This is not a smart decision." Okay, I'm just going to shut up for the rest of the game. And
Man, how about
Way to make
poor
him
Ryan
look dumb.
Wiedenfeld, though? Poor Ryan Wiedenfeld.
Ryan
He gets
Wiedenfeld.
clipped 3 times by Ryan Trader in one game.
He's in the Ellie's club now. The only person that gets clipped more is Jeremiah Ellis, right?
So true. All right, we've got some trivia. All the answers to this trivia are surrounding the finalists. That is both singles and doubles. So we talked about some of the finalists today, but keep the doubles players on your mind as we go through this. And I'm going to go to Jake first because Trey probably knows the answers to a lot of these.
Let's go.
All right. Which finalist has the most open wins? That's singles and doubles combined. So you have the finalists to think about.
It's got to be Trey Birchfield, right?
Yeah, I was going to go Birchfield.
Yeah.
Birchfield, but
that was an easy one.
do you know the number? Because it's close.
Ooh,
Isn't it?
I'm going to say.
Isn't it? I know he has 9 open doubles titles.
I'm going to say 11. No, because he doesn't have. I'm going to say 11 to.
Yeah, I was
7. No, 8. 11 to 8.
So Birchfield has 13 and Richards has 12.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying his open to pro ratio. Oh, 13?
Okay.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I didn't realize Richards has 12.
Wow, that's what I'm saying. It's only one away.
Oh my gosh. No, if you had asked me second place, I would have guessed like 6 different people before I got to Mark Richards.
Okay, well, there you go.
Wow.
Unless my math is wrong. I was tired when I was doing this.
No, that's insane.
You can
good for
fact
Mark
check me.
Richards.
All right, one of the finalists only has 2 titles, both in doubles. One's a pro event. Who is it, Jake? 2 titles, both doubles. One's pro.
Is it Cheyenne?
It is not Cheyenne.
It is not Cheyenne. So Jacob Trzynski?
Yes, good job, Trey.
Oh,
JT from the rafters.
This finalist has only pro titles, no opens.
Only pro titles, no opens.
Ooh, I think I have a guess.
Oh man, I don't. Oh, is it Isidro Herrera?
It is not.
Dang it,
Tanner
man, I'm
Halbert?
Thinking.
It is not. It is Derek Holland.
Ooh,
Oh, good call. Good call.
All right, this finalist has a world title, but no national titles. Who is it, Jake?
that's got to be Tanner, right?
Yeah,
That
it's
is
got to be
Tanner.
Tanner Albert.
Yeah,
That is
Tanner.
Tanner. This player has 5 titles, all singles. Who is it?
Ooh, all
All
singles.
singles titles. Man, is it? No, it's not.
And I don't
him.
think it's a singles player. Looking at the roster.
5 titles, and that is pro and open. Hold on.
I would assume so because I didn't separate it, but I did this last week, so I can't
Is
recall.
Is it Ryan Trader?
It is not.
No, because Trader's only got 2.
Yeah, shoot.
And then if we look on, you're saying only singles. What in the world? I don't even have a guess.
I don't.
Josh Holland.
Oh, that's dumb. That's absolutely dumb. I should have known that. You know what's funny? I saw Holland on my sheet. I wasn't even thinking about Holland. I was thinking about Derek Holland.
Oh, okay.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't put first names on the sheet. All right, last question. Which of the following has an open doubles title? Is it AJ Sims, Braden Wilson, Jalen Jones, or Isidro Herrera? Which one of those?
I know this one.
What you got?
Now I got pressure to straight into this one.
Yeah, I know this
My initial instinct goes to one of those, mid-season opens a few years ago, whether we were in like Iowa or South Dakota, that makes me want to go Jalen Jones. So I think I'm going to go with Jalen Jones.
It is not Jalen Jones. It is
Isidro.
Isidro
Dang
Herrera.
it.
I believe Isidro won the first. Yeah, I believe he won the first Open of the year a few years ago.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Jalen Jones. I was going through some research, like and looking through titles and stuff like that. And there's some interesting people like who don't have titles and interesting people who do have titles, right? Like one of the craziest ones, and this leads us into teams, but this is a little bit of a trivia question. But here's a trivia question. I'll go right back to you. So we always talk about a woman winning a pro event, right? However, there have only been 2 women in the history of the ACL who have won an open doubles title. Cheyenne is one of them, but who is the other? This is a $20 question. You know, I like little dollar trivia questions. This is a $20 one.
Let's see who would.
Another hint: it's not that long ago.
It's not that long ago.
Is she an active pro?
Yes.
Wait, you said what? An open?
An open doubles.
Wasn't that Emily Downer?
Yes, great pull,
wow,
Emily Downer.
Yeah, with Jimmy Humans, I remember that.
Yes, Meesh absolutely fired in the $20 question. Look at Meesh, she's on fire.
So going back to Richards, I have here 5 open doubles and 7 open singles to make it 12. That's what I have written down.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's won 7 open singles.
Like I said, I did this late and tired last week, so you can fact check me.
No, I believe it. I believe it, but that is incredible. But hey, hell of a pull on Emily Downer there, Meesh.
That was awesome. Good job, Meesh.
All righty. Well, sometimes I look smart. Sometimes I definitely don't. So it all balances out. All right, let's talk about teams. I've got the current rankings there for you, Trey. So talk to me about what's sticking out to you or what you want to talk about there.
Yeah, let's run through it really quick. So in the National West, we have the High Rollers in first place, 47 and 36. The Slingers in second place. Those Cali Slingers not doing too bad there in second place, 35 and 34. Third place tied. We have the Timber and the Burn both trying to get back into things here at 35 and 48. As we go over into the National Central, we have the Chicagoland Spinners, newfound first place. They're 43 and 33. Second place, the Missouri Mays at 46 and 37. Then, of course, we have the Bully Baggers at 45 and 38. Colonels at 37 and 39. As we go over into the and let me cover games back, right? Because games back is a good way that for baseball fans to think about it. So in the West, the High Rollers in first. The Slingers 5 games back, right? 5 games back are the Slingers. Then the Timber are 12 games back. So the Slingers, remember, top 2 from each division are going to make the playoffs. So the Slingers have a nice 7-game lead on the Timber for that last playoff spot in the West. So they're looking good there. For the Central, it is an absolute barn burner of a region. The Spinners only have a half-game lead on the Missouri Mays. then there's only a game between the Missouri Mays and the Texas Bully Baggers. It's a 1-game difference between playoffs and not playoffs. The Colonels find themselves a total of 4.5 games behind the Bully Baggers. So that entire region can be flipped on its head even during that last event, both on broadcast in Milwaukee and then, of course, in Valley Forge when we have these last games play out. Going over to the American South, this is the weakest division. The Florida Freeze are number 1 at 42-41, only a half game or a game above 500, which is crazy to think about. The Sliders are 2.5 games back at 36-40. The Virginia Cutters are 6 games back from first place, and then the Carolina Coasters also 6 games back. So in theory, only a 3.5 game difference between second and third and fourth. So that is another division that could have some volatility. And then finally, the absolutely stacked American North, the Ohio Aviators, best record in the league at 45-24. The Pennsylvania Ringers are 7.5 games back behind them. The Michigan Marauders, 10 games behind the Aviators, only 2.5 behind the Ringers. So the Marauders could catch the Ringers. And then the Woodchucks, 17 games back. They are all but out of it there. So big thoughts from me, Meesh. The Ohio Aviators, Pennsylvania Ringers, number 1 and number 2 in the American North. We're going to see them both in Milwaukee. So we are seeing people that are looking to keep their overall standing. The Ringers trying to hold on to that playoff spot. But then I look at the Kentucky Colonels. They're trying to fight back into playoff contention. If they can go up against the team with the best record in the league in the Ohio Aviators and win 4-3 or 5-2, we're all of a sudden talking about a team that is right back into playoff contention when it comes to the National Central. So it is a huge, huge game for those Kentucky Colonels against the Ohio Aviators. And then the Slingers going up against the Ringers. The Slingers in particular just need to not fall apart. They're going to make the playoffs unless they have some type of epic collapse, which I know I'm completely jinxing them now. But the idea is they have a pretty comfortable lead. They just can't fall apart. And that's a lot of pressure. The problem is
not a lot of players are coming.
I know not a lot of players are traveling to that Milwaukee event. They're starting a lot of elite players just on the TV broadcast. But the good news is, even if they don't have the best finish on the TV broadcast, when they get to Valley Forge and those last events leading into the playoffs are ultimately going to decide how they fare for the rest of the season and if they can make those playoffs at the end. So a lot of great stuff.
That's good, because I feel like it was just maybe the last time we spoke about teams, the Cali Slingers were not in the top 2. Am I correct? I don't know if you remember.
No, they fought their way back a little bit. They had a nice little bounce back.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. All right, Jake, what are your thoughts on teams?
Yeah, just a couple of things. And, mostly what I'm going to talk about is because of what I watched unfold in Minnesota. Got to give a big shout out to the Missouri Mays. We watched them take on the defending champion Pennsylvania Ringers in Minnesota. They won 6 out of 7 and went from third place to a sole possession of second place in their division. So now the Bully Baggers are on the outside of the door looking in. So they're going to have a good finish in Valley Forge. So shout out to the Mays. But man, you mentioned the Ringers and Aviators. Are they're playing against each other in Milwaukee, man? If I could bet on that, I would take the Aviators all day, because the Ringers are in an absolute tailspin down. They didn't even look that good against the Mays, losing 6 out of 7. So, it's going to be hard for the defending champions to, find some momentum, but you never know. So I'm looking for the Marauders to take advantage and maybe take over that second spot. You never know. Only other thing I'll add, my hometown team, the Virginia Cutters, got stomped in Minnesota. They were tied for first in the division coming in, and now they are in third and not looking good. So you need a big run from them. But man, dude, I'm digging this. I'm so excited for Valley Forge to see how all these playoff implications turn out. Shout out to the High Rollers. We'd love to see them make a good run. We'd love to see the Bully Baggers come back into it, make that division interesting with the Mays and with the Spinners. But a lot of good teams action left, so we'll see what happens.
A couple follow-up. Yeah, go ahead, me. Sorry.
I was going to say, do you know who the teams are that are playing broadcast in Canton, like our last 4 teams? Do you know who that is?
There isn't a broadcast in Canton because remember we played the extra one in Palm Beach, so it'll literally be decided in Valley Forge.
Okay, so Valley Forge is the final of the game.
Yes, the regular season.
Got it. We get our standings. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So a couple of things, teams just looking at these standings now, right? I mean, Carolina Coasters, kind of a disappointment this year. I look at them; they were a playoff team last year. Now find themselves in, tied for last in the American South, and I would say kind of almost equally disappointing. Even though I know it's weird to say, but the Florida Freeze are number 1 in their region, and they're a little bit of a disappointment for me because I said I thought they were going to be far and away the best team in the entire league. And they're just above 500 in a division that's not the greatest. And that's the only reason right now that they find themselves with that big of a lead. I mean, if you took the Florida Freeze and put them in the American North, they're in 3rd. They're not making the playoffs. I mean, if you take the Florida Freeze and put them in the National Central, they are in 3rd. They are in 4th place. Okay. If you took them and put them in the National West, they'd be 2nd or 3rd place right now, depending on how the rest of the season shakes out. So not having that strong of a performance, but how about these Georgia Sliders just hanging around, and they may find themselves in the playoffs, right? Jake was talking about his Cutters making a really strong first half of the season. He's talking about the Ringers having a tailspin. Hey, don't be barking too loud over there, Jake. The Cutters are kind of spinning out of control right now. So
yeah, but they're not supposed to be up there, though. They weren't supposed to be up there. The Ringers are defending champions, and they're supposed to be defending their crown. I wasn't expecting a damn thing from the Cutters all season. Next thing I know, look at the standings after Colorado, and they're in 2nd place, tied for 1st. I was like, okay, Cutters. And then I think I walked up to Jacob Gore, and I said, hey, man, how did the Cutters do in Minneapolis? And he just laughed at me. And I said, oh no, that can't be good. And then I looked at the standings, and I was like, oh, man.
So what I would say is what would be interesting is, the number 1 from the North plays number 2 from the South first round of playoffs. I know we're kind of projecting a little bit here, but imagine talent-wise on the court, Pennsylvania Ringers versus Florida Freeze. I just talked about both not playing up to their potential, but at least talent-wise, both of those teams being on the court at the same time would be absolutely insane. It would then be the Ohio Aviators versus the Georgia Sliders. That might be a David versus Goliath, like huge upset if the Sliders can find a way to pull that off. If we looked at the National Central and how that's shaping out, right now it would be the Chicagoland Spinners against the California Slingers. And Meesh, as a Slingers fan, I think you got to like that matchup because I don't think many people pick the Chicagoland Spinners to be number 1 in that region. So I think the Slingers got to like that position where they are. Yeah. And then the Las Vegas High Rollers, congratulations, like 2nd best record, arguably, second best record in the entire league. What is your reward? You got to play the Missouri Mays, who just absolutely destroyed the Pennsylvania Ringers, who made it all the way to the semifinals of the team's championship last year. So, the high rollers may get screwed just from being the number 1 seed based on who they have to play in that first round. That is going to be an incredible matchup in that first round of the playoffs, if that's end up who we're getting. But like we said before, the Bully Baggers only a half game out. That is going to be an absolute brawl to get towards the finish.
And the playoffs will all happen at Worlds?
All of the playoffs will happen at Worlds, yes.
There you go. Looking forward to it. All right, it's time to get into our award winner predictions. We did this back in January. That was, of course, with Trey and Anthony, but this time we're going to get Trey and Jake. This is what we think is going to happen at the end of the year. So not who you'd pick necessarily right now, but who you think is going to end. So we're going to go through each one. Trey, who are you picking for Rookie of the Year?
Gosh, give me any. Is there a world in which Ryan Trader can fight his way back in here? Is there a world in which he can do this?
I would love to see it, but I don't know.
Jeremiah would have to have a horrible next couple months. He'd have to just fall off the cliff.
As long as Jeremiah's Demon Slayer isn't in his bracket in Valley Forge, he'll be all right.
Well, let's think about it, Meesh. I mean, you say that, but is it realistic? Is it a realistic possibility that Ryan Trader wins national and shootout singles next week?
He can.
He can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say he wins both. Okay. How many pro titles does Jeremiah have? How many pro titles does Ryan Trader have?
Okay.
2 and 2.
About open. Okay. So yeah. With opens as well. What are their open titles?
Well, opens, Jeremiah's got 1, Ryan's got 2.
Okay.
So you get what I know, but what I'm getting all this to say, like, does Ryan Trader come out the last event if he wins it again? And even if Jeremiah Ellis comes in 3rd or 4th, are you going to give it to him? I'm going to say all that to say Jeremiah Ellis is going to win Rookie of the Year.
You're just building up suspense.
I mean, look, it's ifs and whats and whatever, you know. Even if Ryan Trader were to win both events this weekend, which I don't think he's going to win both, he may win one. I just think it's too much of a mountain to climb. Here's the added benefit. When I think Rookie of the Year and MVP, I do factor in doubles. And right now, Ryan Trader and Alex Hicks are not a factor when it comes to that conversation whatsoever. Jeremiah Ellis and Ryan Hart, as of today, are the number 1 team in the world. It looks like they're going to get passed in some way, shape, or form when we get to the broadcast in Milwaukee by somebody. But at least as of right now, they're the number 1 team, and that says something.
Okay. So Rookie of the Year, Jeremiah Ellis. Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible not to say Jeremiah Ellis. I mean, with the start that he's had to the season.
It's not impossible.
I don't know. I would love, as much as I would love to see the storyline unfold of Ryan Trader winning both tournaments and having a great run in Valley Forge and making the World Championships mean so much more. I think it's really hard to not say Jeremiah Ellis right now, because if you, like Trey said, if you factor in both singles and doubles, Jeremiah Ellis has got to be the only choice.
Breakout Player of the Year, Trey.
This one is hard. I went through the rankings and I was trying to find who fits it best, back and forth. But ultimately, I got to land on Ian Cripps right now. I'm going to give it to Cripps, and Jake doesn't like it because that's who he was going to pick. Look, you win a pro event. You're a top 10 player. Your ranking likely can't drop much more. It can drop a little bit, but you can always improve it. If you add on top of the fact that we're talking about 2 years ago, this is someone that was borderline not even going to requalify to become a pro. Even last season finished at 35th in the world. That's not a huge numbers jump, but we've talked many times about the difference between 100 and 30 is not the same as 30 to 9 or 8
right,
or whatever you are. It's so much harder to break into that top 10. I'm going to give Ian Cripps Breakout Player of the Year.
And Jake?
And I think the crazy thing is, if we look back to the kickoff battle, let's say Ian Cripps won his semifinal match but then lost the overall finals. Let's say he's still a top 15 player in the world right now. I don't think any of us would be talking about him. But it's the fact that he got over that hump. He has a shootout singles title, which is one more than a lot of the top tier players have right now, is incredible to think about. And it's truly deserving that you have to give Ian Cripps the Breakout Player of the Year, at least right now. Now, if we look at some of the players who can possibly take that over, I'm not so sure there really is anybody right now. I mean, just looking at the pro standings, I mean, I don't know, statistically, I don't know where Matt Guy finished in singles last year. I don't think he did very well, but he's 11th right now. Ryan Hart, 13th in pro singles. I mean, that's a big jump from what he was doing. But I think right now it's Ian Cripps to lose.
Yeah, and not just did Ian get a title, he played phenomenally well on the TV too. All right, Comeback Player of the Year. Do you want to explain that one, Trey, since that's new?
Yeah, this is someone that's been a pro maybe for a number of years and was at the top of the game or close to the top of the game years ago, had some type of fall off, which is either skill, taking a break from the game, going away, then coming back and having another resurgence, right? So similar to other Comeback Player of the Year awards in other sports. This one right now is a pretty good race between a couple players. I think Dalton McClem is up there right now to be considered for comeback player of the year. He was 140th last year. This is someone that used to win nationals with Kyle Malone. He was up the top, fell off, and now kind of resurged. He's top 20 right now in singles, which is crazy to think about. But I am going to actually give it to Matthew Sorrells. He's already won a pro event this season with Eric Davis, and although his singles ranking isn't the same as McClem's, McClem is like 19th, and Sorrells is 29th, so he is behind him. Getting a doubles victory means something, especially in the pro field. He's back to where he was, right? He won a world championship in doubles. He was a really special player and has been pretty consistent in singles as well. And I think we're going to continue to see him excel even more in singles. So I'm going to go Matthew Sorrells, comeback player of the year.
Jake?
Yeah, so I would finally disagree on something. I had two players that I was thinking about for this, and they were none of the two that you were saying. And mine two were Adam Hisner and Eric Davis. Now, if we look at, standing solely, we have Adam Hisner, who was 34th in the world last year, and now he's all the way up in the top 5, or top 10, I believe. And then you have Eric Davis, who, for lack of a better term, kind of fell off the face of the earth last season. I mean, multiple shootout champions, multiple national champions, was 78th in the world last year in pro singles, and now he is up to – I lost it. Where did it go?
Fifth.
Where is he? 5th right now. I just had the list in front of me and it closed out. So, I mean, for me personally, looking at it statistically and, how he has evolved mentally and his shot-making abilities, I think it's hard not to give it to Eric Davis right now. So if the season ended today, Eric Davis would have my vote for comeback player of the year.
ACL MVP, Trey?
Yeah, this one's Jeremiah Ellis, just because of, the same thing that we talked about in Rookie of the Year. It's going to be tough for him to be caught, but I at least want to take this little minute to talk about, or 30 seconds to say who else would be on that ballot and why it's impressive. Eric Davis being on the MVP ballot, impressive. Jake just gave him an a comeback player of the year award, and he deserves it. He's had a resurgent season and would certainly be on the ballot for me for comeback player and also obviously for MVP. But I think someone else that's more impressively on this MVP ballot for me that I never would have thought would have been on it, Logan frickin' Chamberlain. I mean, the guy has been so consistent. We're talking about Logan Chamberlain, the number 3 singles player in the world and number 4 doubles player in the world when you match those up. Nobody has any numbers close to that right now except Eric Davis and Jeremiah Ellis, right? And so when you talk about prestige, he deserves to be up there, deserves to be recognized for the work that he's put in to get himself where he is.
Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Jeremiah, at least right now. Like we mentioned before, would it be sick to watch Ryan Trader win both shootout singles and national singles, come through, win both the shootout and national singles bracket in Valley Forge, and then win them both? And I mean, I don't know if we looked at it statistically, if that would make Ryan surpass Jeremiah. You'd have to think, right?
MVP takes into account doubles, does it not?
That is true.
Correct.
That is true. So
I think it's hard to catch him there.
Yeah. But if we're looking at other players on the ballot, I think Alex Rawls has had a really strong second half of the season. So, I mean, he's on one half of the number 2 doubles team right now. So you got to put him in there as well. I mean, man, I'm also looking through the doubles teams list, because you got to think Kyle Malone, Devin Harbaugh, number 5. They haven't really done a lot this year, but they're always up there in the end. But yeah, I think it's hard to go against Jeremiah. It's hard. Logan Chamberlain, a good person to put on the ballot. I think Gavin would be on my ballot as well, with just the excellent first half of the season that he's had. But yeah, I think this is Jeremiah's to lose. All
right, time for hot takes. Trey, you got one?
I'll keep it quick. Kentucky Colonels pull a big upset, and they beat the Ohio Aviators head-to-head in the series and get closer to being in playoff race come Valley Forge.
Okay. Jake?
Alex Rawls is in 3 bracket finals this weekend. He wins 2 out of them. The only one he does not win is national singles, which will go to Cheyenne Bubenheim.
I can't remember my hot take last week. I want to say I picked Bubenheim, but I don't recall. So I'm going shootout singles, Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh will get over the hump, get his first singles title there in the pro events. All right, that's all we got time for. We'll see you guys all next time.